Welcome to the Planet Trance channel. Today's video is about 7 of the creepiest, spookiest, most unsettling places on Earth. Let's start with number 7, Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. But before that, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any suggestions for future videos. Now, without further ado, let's begin. Eastern State Penitentiary opened its doors in 1829. It is a historic prison located in Philadelphia and was once the most famous and expensive prison in the world. It held nearly 85,000 people over its long history and is considered to be one of the most famous and influential prisons in America. As part of a controversial movement, the prison was designed with a revolutionary system of incarceration known as the Pennsylvania system, which emphasized solitary confinement and rehabilitation. Considered to be the world's first true penitentiary, the cells were made of concrete with a single glass skylight, representing the eye of God, suggesting to the prisoners that God was always watching them. Cell accommodations were advanced for their time, including a faucet with running water over a flush toilet, as well as curved pipes along part of one wall, which served as central heating during the winter months, where hot water would be run through the pipes to keep the cells reasonably heated. The prison has since become famous for paranormal activity and ghost sightings. In Season 2 of Travel Channel's Most Haunted, a crew recorded objects moving on their own. Investigators with the production claim to have communicated with multiple spirits and captured disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and other unexplainable occurrences. The ancient Ram Inn is an 800-year-old former inn and tourist attraction in Watton-under-Edge, Gloucestershire, England, primarily operating as a paranormal event location. It's widely believed that the inn was built on top of a pagan burial ground, and that devil worship and human sacrifices were practiced here within its walls. Visitors and staff have reported the sounds of crying babies being heard in the main seating area, also known as Men's Kitchen, as well as reports of the apparitions of 2 men standing on either side of the fireplace and of a ghost known as the Lady in Blue or Elizabeth, a name given to her by staff and visitors, who is believed to be a young woman that was murdered by 2 highwaymen and now wanders the grounds of this medieval inn. In the witch's room, it is allegedly believed that a witch hid in this room with her black cat, familiar prior to being executed at the stake by the village. She has appeared in the room as a shadowy figure. However, the most haunted room is believed to be the bishop's room, where it is believed that one of the ancient Ram Inn's former innkeepers was murdered in this room by having his head shoved into the open fire of the fireplace. The inn is currently open to tourists, visitors, and ghost hunters alike. So be sure to drop by if you're feeling up to a bit of adventure. The Tower of London is a historic castle on the north bank of the River Thames in central London. It was founded toward the end of 1066 as part of the Norman conquest. The White Tower, which gives the entire castle its name, was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 and was resented as a symbol of oppression inflicted upon London by the new Norman ruling class. Well known as a prison, the Tower of London hosted several notable prisoners during the years that it ran. People who committed all sorts of crimes were sent to the tower, which included deposed monarchs. One of the most famous people to have been imprisoned in the tower was Anne Boleyn, the wife of Henry VIII. The notorious king also had another wife, Catherine Howard, imprisoned, as well as his former counselor, Thomas More. The tower also had a reputation as a place of torture and executions. The torture methods used included the rack, the scavenger's daughter, and the manacles. Probably the most famous prisoner, Guy Fawkes, is known to have been tortured in the Tower of London. It is not known whether he was subjected to the rack, however it is thought that he may have been tortured by being suspended by the wrists. Considering all that has happened at the Tower of London, It is easy to see why so many believe it to be haunted. Some legends claim that the ghost of Anne Boleyn still wanders around the grounds holding her head beneath her arm. Though torture did take place at the tower, some prisoners were treated fairly well, and if they were of noble birth, they were sometimes allowed to leave the castle for fresh air and even allowed to have their own servants to accompany them.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Pripyat is an abandoned city in northern Ukraine, located near the border with Belarus, named after the nearby river. It was founded as the 9th Atomgrad to serve the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which is located in the adjacent ghost city of Chernobyl. In 1979, the city had a population of 49,360 people. Following the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster, the entire population of Pripyat was evacuated.
Внимание, внимание! Уважаемые товарищи! Городской совет народных депутатов сообщает.
Following the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster, the entire population of Pripyat was evacuated. To this day, the area, which is a roughly 19-mile radius surrounding the Chernobyl nuclear plant, is essentially uninhabited by humans. Its apartment buildings, shops, restaurants, hospitals, schools, cultural centers, and sports facilities remain derelict and abandoned. The Capela dos Ossos, or the Chapel of Bones, is a small chapel in Évora, Portugal. The chapel gets its name from its interior walls, which are covered and decorated with human skulls and bones. An estimated 5,000 corpses were exhumed to decorate the walls of the chapel. The bones, which came from ordinary people who were buried in Évora's medieval cemeteries, were arranged by Franciscan friars in a variety of patterns. On the roof of the chapel, the phrase "Melior est die mortis die nativitatis" is written, which translates to "better is the day of death than the day of birth." Inside the Capela dos Ossos, a poem about the need to reflect on one's existence hangs in an old wooden frame on one of the pillars. It is attributed to Father Antonio da Ascensão Teles, a parish priest of the village of São Pedro. Translated from its original Portuguese, it reads, "Where are you going in such a hurry, traveler? Pause, do not advance your travel. You have no greater concern than this one, that which is now before your eyes. Recall how many have passed from this world. Reflect on your similar end. There is good reason to do so, if only all did the same. Ponder, you so influenced by fate, among the many concerns of the world, so little do you reflect on death. If by chance you glance at this place, stop for the sake of your journey. The longer you pause, the further on your journey you will be." Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Sea of Trees or Suicide Forest, is a forest on the northwestern part of Mount Fuji on the island of Honshu in Japan. The western edge of Aokigahara is a popular destination for tourists and school trips, although other parts are very dense. And the sense of solitude that some visitors attribute to the forest is due to the hardened lava laid down by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji in 864. The porous lava rock absorbs sound, which contributes to the forest's sense of isolation. Aokigahara is often referred to as the most popular site for suicide in Japan. In 2003, 105 bodies were found in the forest. In 2010, the police recorded 54 confirmed suicides out of more than 200 attempts. And as of 2011, the most common means of suicide in the forest were hanging or drug overdose. The rate of suicide has led officials to place a sign at the forest's entry urging suicidal visitors to seek help and not take their own lives. Annual body searches have been conducted by police, volunteers, and journalists since 1970. The site's popularity has been attributed to Seiko Matsumoto's 1961 novel Nami no To, Tower of Waves. However, the history of suicide in Aokigahara predates the novel's publication, and the place has long been associated with death. Throughout various paths throughout the forest, there are signs posted with messages like, "Think carefully about your children, your family," and "Your life is a precious gift from your parents." In 2017, the Japanese government announced plans to reduce Japan's suicide rates by 30% over the next decade. Part of these measures include posting security cameras at the entrance of the forest and increasing patrols. Although officials believe their suicide prevention measures have helped to reduce the number of suicides committed in the forest to about 30 a year, down from 100 a decade ago, they worry that publicity from social media could attract more of the hopeless. The catacombs of Paris are underground ossuaries in France, which holds the remains of more than 6 million people. The site was consecrated as the Paris Municipal Ossuary in 1786. It extends south from the Barrière d'Enfer, the former city gate, and was created as part of the effort to eliminate the effects of the city's overflowing cemeteries. The consequences of the extreme amounts of rotting human flesh caused many people to fall ill, adding to the cemeteries even further. The catacombs are 20 meters deep, about the length of a 5-story building, and covers an area of about 11,000 square meters. The bones, which had previously been loosely piled, are carefully organized into walls, and throughout the structure are plaques featuring religious and poetic texts that encourage visitors toward introspection and a meditation on death. The Paris catacombs are currently open to everyone without requiring any authorization and welcome nearly 550,000 visitors every year. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you'd like to suggest a topic for a future video. Until next time, take care.